We're going to close the fourth chapter of Bava, the fourth chapter of damages, with a couple of principles which are really, really important. And this Mishnah, very often, by the way, the last Mishnah in a chapter is very important. And we'll see that this last Mishnah seems very slight, but just carries a couple of really important principles about guardianship. And just to understand them or to put them in context, we're going to go back and look at the verse. If it was an ox that had been goring yesterday and the day before yesterday, if this is a habitually goring ox, and its owner was warned and didn't guard it. Its owner is warned and did not guard it. And then the owner becomes liable for additional damages. And so we're going to ask the question, well, okay, first of all, what is the concept of owner? His owner was warned and he didn't guard it. So the owner was warned. And what velo yishmerenu, and didn't guard it? Well, okay, how much guarding do we have to do? In other words, what level of care is required if we have a dangerous ox or any other dangerous object in our possession? Those are the questions which the Mishnah is seeking to address. And now let's go back to the words of the Mishnah. He handed it over, that is, he handed over this dangerous ox to a shomer chinam, an unpaid guardian. Vila shoel, he lent it out, he handed it over to someone who wanted to borrow it. La noseh sachar, maybe he handed it over to someone who's paid to take care of it. Vila socher, or maybe he rented it out, he handed it over to a renter, like a rental car. Maybe you've got a car which is dangerous and you rent it out. And the Mishnah says, these four cases, by the way, are the four classic cases of temporary ownership transfer. Kind of what are the liabilities when you take temporary ownership over someone else's property? So these are the four classic cases which we will learn about in Bava Metzia, I think. But using these classic cases, in the case of the dangerous ox, what is the responsibility of the person that takes over this ox? And the Mishnah rules, nichnasu tachat ha'ba'alim. They go in place of the owner. So in other words, if you're guarding someone's ox, or you're renting someone's ox, or you're paid to guard someone's ox, or you borrow someone's ox, you become responsible for any damage it causes. And v'yatzeh hizik, if it goes out and causes damage, muad m'shalem nezek shalem, if it's known danger, he has to pay full damages. V'tam m'shalem chatzi nezek, and if it's just an accident, he still has to pay half damages, but you are responsible. Now, how much guarding do we have to do? Sharov alav b'mosera. Its owner tied it up with reins. V'nal b'fanav karaui, or locked it up. Karaui means kind of properly, locked it up properly. V'yatzah hizik, and it got out and caused damage. So it was properly tied up or locked up, but it caused damage. Chayav, the Mishnah rules chayav. This is the anonymous Mishnah, traditionally according to Rabbi Meir. In fact, the Gemara in some versions of the Mishnah, it's explicitly Rabbi Meir. You are liable if you kind of lock it up properly, but it still gets out. You're still liable. And Rabbi Yudah will climb down a little bit. Rabbi Yudah omer tam chayav umuad patur. Rabbi Yudah says, look, if it's harmless, he's liable. Because remember, when a harmless animal causes damage, the owner is only liable for half damages. And it's an outside accident anyway. So that can include getting out from a pen that's properly locked. But Rabbi Yudah is going to exempt the owner of an ox which is known to be dangerous. And he's going to quote our verse. Shenemar, he's going to quote, Shenemar velo yishmerenu ba'alav. He's only liable if its owner didn't guard it. Velo yishmerenu ba'alav. His owner didn't guard it. Shamur huzeh. This one has been guarded. If it's been tied up with reins or it's been locked up properly, it's been guarded. The owner is no longer responsible. That's Rabbi Yehuda. And we'll see from the Rambam, the halacha Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is according to Rabbi Yehuda. But there's a but. There's a but, and the Rambam will bring this out, but Rabbi Eliezer is going to explain it. Rabbi Eliezer, remember, is the one, is always an extremist. Rabbi Eliezer is the one who says, look, if a Brit Milah is due on Shabbat, you can break Shabbat to light a fire, to smelt a knife, to carry out the Brit Milah. Rabbi Eliezer takes things to their logical extreme. And here, Rabbi Eliezer says, Ein lo shemira ela sakin. The only guard is the knife. In other words, as long as this ox is alive, you have to be worried about it. Locking it up, tying it up, doesn't count. The only way you know that this dangerous ox is no longer a danger is when it gets to the end of its life. The only guard is the knife. And effectively, that is what the Rambam says, what Maimonides says. He says, the halacha ka Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, which is a bit more reasonable. Aval, but the Rambam concludes, Aval chayav l'shachto, but he is obliged to slaughter it. Once he's been told that this ox is dangerous, he is obliged to slaughter it. Kedei lahasir hiziko, to remove its damage, to remove the possibility of its damage. So yes, maybe formally, maybe at a formal level, we're exempt once we properly locked it up or properly tied it up. But Rabbi Eliezer won't agree. He says we have total eventual responsibility. And the Rambam says, yes, if you know it's dangerous, you should slaughter it. You should not rely on don't rely on other measures. This ox could kill somebody. And if you're the owner, it's your responsibility to take care of it permanently and finally.